Best parts about today, no minnows, good weather, hardly any boats. What an awesome combination. And lots of fish. So for today, this is what we had tied up in the shop. We're going with a couple purples with white and black. Oh look, a couple more purples with green and red. One of those should do the trick. Remember, you don't need much hair to make these work. You just don't. They dance around so well that you just a few pieces of bucktail will get the job done. Let's do a quick lure check here. I just like to look at them in the water. Get that bucktail wet. If you can see it. Beautiful. Fish catcher right there. Done deal. Let's just throw that all day. Actually, I've got about 3 hours to fish. My goal to get out here and show you how I apply everything we talked about in the previous video to an actual river fishing situation, and hopefully catch a couple along the way. If I get some runts, that's a bonus. If I get a big one, that's a real bonus. But hopefully you learn something between now and when it's time to pack it up, which isn't very far from now. So let's go fishing. There's a few fish milling around here, so we're just gonna get going. We're starting off, this is that 7.9 JTX. It's a long rod. You've got, 6 to 7 foot leader, so it just allows you to get a nice lob of your cast, and you feather that line as it's landing just to lay the whole rig out so it's not twirling in midair. You just try to keep it all in line. And you saw the current's going this way, so I just cast out straight from the boat. Actually, I quartered down a little bit, and now I'm just letting the current take it on down right through some of these fish that I saw. I like to hold above the reel like this, just to let that reel kind of counterbalance the whole action and just give nice little touches to those flies. And all of a sudden you'll just feel a little flick and you're on. And it's blowing pretty good today, actually. So this is such a forgiving way to fish, because you've got heavier weights than you would if you were just trying to pitch a jig in the same fashion. But the presentation behind that heavy weight is just so natural. It's just a really hard thing to beat when you're trying to fish in current. And on your twitches up, you're just coming in contact with that sinker. You're not trying to lunge the sinker forward a lot. You're just at the top of your stroke. You're basically whipping the slack until you connect with the sinker at the top of your stroke. And once you do that, you're just nudging that sinker, pulsing those flies as they go. Right now, I'm pinned up on the inside of the channel edge, just up on a flat. I cast out into the channel, and the current's swinging my whole rig, and it's eventually, when it gets right to back here, it's going to slam it into the ledge of the channel. I think we just had our first fish of the day, and it came off. I didn't even feel it bite. I might have snagged a sheephead there. There was a big wad of sheephead too. But anyways, you're letting that current swing your rig into that channel edge. And then once you get to the back of the boat, you're just kind of dead in the water. It's not tacking back and forth anymore, which is not a bad thing. If you're directly above a wad of fish, there's still plenty of action in those flies to get bit, but it's great when it's slowly sweeping sideways, just the way the rig behaves. Now, you can also work this rig back to you once you're directly behind the boat. So now at this point, you've got to pick up the sinker slightly and let it fall as you're walking it back to you. So now you're basically just trolling this thing back upstream towards the boat to finish your cast. And this is another great way to get bit. So pinning up is one option. just like we're doing here. Another option would be to put it on constant, and I just turn my autopilot heading on so that I keep the boat pointed up current. But then I have the amount of thrust on just enough so that I'm slowly slipping back. That way, once I'm back behind the boat, it's just basically a continuous cast as you drift back. And so that's another great way to at least cover some river. And as soon as you do get bit, hit the spot lock button and thoroughly work that, because once fish are grouped up, that's not the only one you can grab out of there. There's usually back-to-back casts available for you to extract fish when they're kind of grouped up. If you don't get bit, just jog around. You know, jog left, jog right, jog back, and that is a cast with a fly. Now let me show you that it actually works by going and catching a fish somewhere. So let's go find a little pot of fish somewhere and let's milk them. I don't know how big they'll be, but at least you'll see it work. Let's go. There's one. What do we got here? Little sauger. Just little twitches. That one came on a black and purple. Let's see if we can get another one. One thing with the flies, especially on this river, you'll go through a lot of fish. Not necessarily all bigs, but a lot of fish. There's one. Number two, just a little sauger. If he's not hooked funny, it's a decent fish, actually. Come here, buddy. There we go. Well, we're getting a little bigger. But that's like 3 casts in a row I've had fish on. So when you get into an area of them and you just take your time working through them with this, it's pretty good. If they can just get a little bit bigger, but if they don't, that's fine too. I wasn't expecting a whole lot today, but a few bites is fun. Back-to-back casts here. We're in a few fish, guys. This one might be even bigger. All right, it's a nice sauger right there. Again on that front hook. Now this configuration I have here, I snelled 2 in line. I don't have that T-knot on this one, and that's 2 in a row of a nicer class fish on this red and purple. But that's a really nice sauger right there. You see it? I'll take it. That was awesome. There, I'm a happy man. I can go in now. I'm easily pleased. Well, that's cool. That's like 4 casts in a row. I switched. I wasn't getting a lot of bites, even though we're marking a few fish here on the black. So I switched to a red one, and that's 2 nice fish in a row on that. You can see I didn't cast straight out. These fish are right behind the boat actually, so I'm just letting it hit bottom, and then I need to slow down a little bit, honestly. The last couple fish have just kind of lazily been there. So let's see if there's a few more holding in here. And we'll just take our time and try to be thorough. That's 5 casts in a row. This is awesome. Same fly too. They like that red one. I might have to put 2 reds on here if I keep this up. Nothing huge, but we're getting bit, and I think that's 5 casts in a row now that I've had fish on. So I guess I'll make the same cast again. If I get one more fish on that front red one, I gotta do a swap. Holy cow, I made a cast and I didn't catch a fish. Right now the flow, oh, there's a fish. Right now the flow, there's not a ton, and there's not a lot of current. My sinker is just under an ounce because I cut it off with a pair of snippers, and it's just enough to let it float around back there. All right, I caught a fish on the back fly this time. This one is a green and purple. So a green and purple fly there. Little dinker, but a fish nonetheless. That was fun. I think I'll just keep milking this little hole here. Oh, anyways, I was talking about the weight as I was catching that last fish. So I'm just under an ounce of weight on my sinker, and the deepest I'm fishing right now is like, I don't know, 12, 13 foot of water, maybe, not even 13. And the sinker's wanting to stay put pretty well, but still shifting. You know, you're getting that nice sideways tack as the current's just floating it by. So it's just about right. Another one. Red and purple. Red and purple's a tough one to beat. Thanks, buddy. I'm very tempted to put 2 red and purples on and just be done with it. But part of me doesn't want to stop fishing. Oh my God, it's just like every cast. This is so cool. That one came on the rear one. So this one here, if you're looking for the easiest way to tie them on, remember that snelled fly that I did, there's 2 in line snelled. You don't even have to tie a fishing knot to do this rig. Just go back to that video I shot before this one. I'll show you how I tied these flies and then how I tie them onto the line. Anybody can do this. This is so easy, and it's so fun. You're just tapping a fly behind the boat, waiting to feel that little flick, and you got them. Pretty awesome. Really, almost every bite is coming more towards the back of the boat, and I'm actually, that's right where there's a seam that's extended off of a little point upstream of me. And as soon as that rig works its way in there, it's like tick. This might be a decent one right here. Nope, just another run of the mill. It's hard to tell sometimes with the flies. Best parts about today, no minnows, good weather, hardly any boats. What an awesome combination. And lots of fish. This is so fun. This is what my brain needed on this afternoon. Come here, buddy. Nice sauger. All right, guys, it's time to wrap this up. I didn't get to spend a whole lot of time out here. Didn't get the big bite I was hoping for to make it a really cool fishing video, but hopefully you got to see these in action. We got bit on both types of fly setups I like to do. The 2 inline snells, and then the snelled one on the rear with the T-knot dropper. That one got bit as well. We were just in an area where there was a good concentration of fish. It didn't really matter what you put back there. There was just a bunch of fish there for a moment, and it was a lot of fun. So let's do a quick recap. When you're making your casts, these are most effective to be cast downstream of the boat, but you can make your cast perpendicular to the boat in the current to start. Let the current sweep it down if you're just trying to work a bunch of water. But ideally, you'll want to position your boat so that by the time you get to this back corner of the boat, and that's where your rig is starting to tack towards the back of the boat, that's going to be your highest percentage spot where you think those fish are concentrated at. And as long as you're doing that, little taps, so at the top of your stroke, you're coming in contact with the sinker. You're not moving the sinker a whole lot. You're just coming in contact with it. That's why that lighter tip rod helps to kind of cushion that contact with the sinker, so that you're just getting nice little pulses with the fly, and then you just let the flies relax. And as those flies are relaxing, that's usually when you feel a little flick and you got a fish on. If somebody in your boat is struggling fishing a jig and you're out casting jigs or something like that and they're having a hard time feeling bottom, make this an option for them, because you can put a heavier sinker on so that they are always making good bottom contact. And as long as they don't try to overwork this fly and just make subtle little movements as it's working its way downstream, even someone that's not very experienced with fishing rivers and jigs and bottom contact and all that stuff, they can do this. And as you can see, it's a great way to catch a bunch of fish in an efficient manner. You're not dealing with minnows. There's no live bait. You're just pumping little puffs of hair down in there in the current, and fish are very receptive to it. So hopefully you guys learned a couple things with this. If you want to see the fly tying and the rigging methods that I did to put this together, that's in the video previous to this. Hopefully you can pick something up from that. And I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.